Ambassador Zixthor had seen many things in his 4 centuries of diplomatic service to the Galactic Council. He had negotiated peace treaties between species who communicated through bioluminescence and those who spoke in quantum frequencies. He had mediated disputes over contested star systems and brokered trade agreements across 17 sectors. But nothing, absolutely nothing, had prepared him for humanity. The emergency session had been called at 0300 station time. Zixthor's 6 eye stalks drooped with exhaustion as he materialized in the council chamber, but the urgency and High Chancellor Vreenok's telepathic summons had been unmistakable. Around the circular table sat representatives from every major civilization in the known galaxy, all wearing expressions that ranged from concern to outright panic. "Gentle beings," Vreenok began, her crystalline form refracting the chamber's light into anxious patterns. "We have a situation. The humans have established another colony." A collective groan rippled through the assembled delegates. Councillor Threnok of the Calithian Empire slammed 3 of his 4 fists on the table. "Another one? That's the 7th this cycle. How is this possible? They've only been spacefaring for 200 years. Zixthor accessed the data stream being projected at the center of the table. The colony world was designated KX-771, a Class M planet in the outer reaches. On paper, it looked unremarkable. Adequate atmosphere, reasonable gravity, modest mineral deposits. The sort of world that most species would consider marginal at best. "What's the problem?" asked Delegate Quisha, whose species had only recently joined the council. "One more human colony seems hardly worthy of an emergency session." The chamber fell silent. Finally, Vreenok spoke. "Show them the timeline analysis." Numbers cascaded through the holographic display. Zixthor felt his chromatophores flash alarm yellow as he processed the information. The colony had been established 6 standard months ago, with an initial population of 5,000 humans. Current population 47,000, That's impossible, Keisha whispered. "The reproduction rate isn't reproduction," interrupted Commander Salvex of the Hegemony Defense Fleet. "It's immigration. Humans from across their space are flooding to this colony. They're calling it a new frontier opportunity." Zixthor pulled up the colony's economic data, and his translator implant nearly short-circuited trying to keep up with the figures. In 6 months, the humans had established 3 cities, 17 mining operations, a space elevator, 2 orbital shipyards, and were somehow exporting manufactured goods at a profit. They had also terraformed 12% of the previously arid planet and introduced 700 species of Earth flora and fauna. "How?" Quisha demanded. "The standard colonization model requires at least 50 years to reach industrial self-sufficiency. We've studied this extensively. It's why territorial expansion moves so slowly in our region of space." Zixthor had studied humans extensively since their arrival on the galactic stage. He raised a manipulator tentacle. "If I may, Delegate Quisha, I believe I can explain. You see, humans don't follow the standard model because they don't believe the standard model applies to them." He pulled up comparative data. "When the Calithians establish a colony, they send specialists, trained engineers, certified agricultural experts, licensed medical professionals. They build according to approved plans and expand using tested methodologies. As any rational species would," Threnok huffed. "Humans," Zixthor continued, "send whoever wants to go. On KX-771, the initial colony ship contained 2,000 farmers, none of whom had ever farmed professionally. They watched instructional videos during the journey. There were 800 entrepreneurs with vague business plans, 300 artists who wanted to find themselves, 500 people who just wanted to start over, and 400 who came because, and I quote, "it seemed cool." "That's insane," Quisha breathed. "It should have failed within weeks." "It should have," Zixthor agreed. "But here's what humans do. The farmers who didn't know farming, they experimented. They tried things. They failed constantly, but they treated each failure as a learning opportunity. Within 2 months, they had developed agricultural techniques specifically adapted to KX-771's soil composition that were more efficient than our standard methods." He pulled up more data. The entrepreneurs started 47 businesses in the first month alone. 39 failed, but 8 succeeded spectacularly. The artists created a cultural identity for the colony that attracted more immigrants. The people looking for a fresh start worked whatever jobs needed doing, learning new skills with reckless enthusiasm. But the infrastructure, protested Threnok. The planning, the logistics, the resource management. They figured it out as they went, Zixthor said flatly. That's what humans do. They don't wait for permission or approval. They don't follow the established protocols. They see a problem and they throw solutions at it until something works. And the terrifying part? It works for them. Vrenok's crystalline structure pulsed with anxious colors. Show them the cultural assessment. Zixthor hesitated, then displayed the data. Every delegate in the chamber recoiled. The psychological profile of the average human colonist showed patterns that would classify as pathologically risk-tolerant in any other species. Their satisfaction surveys revealed that they were happiest when facing challenges that would be considered crisis-level emergencies by galactic standards. They don't just tolerate hardship, Zixthor explained. They thrive on it. Every human colony becomes a point of pride for them. They compete with each other over who can transform the most hostile environment or build the most successful settlement in the shortest time. They call it pioneer spirit. Commander Salvex leaned forward. And that's why we're here. Because in another 6 months, KX-771 will likely have a population of 200,000. In 5 years, it will be a regional hub. In 20 years, it will be indistinguishable from Earth itself, complete with their bewildering variety of cultures, their chaotic markets, and their inexplicable love of extreme sports. They're not aggressive, Vrenok added. They're not expansionist in the traditional sense. They're just relentless, unstoppable. They see empty space as opportunity rather than void, and every colony they establish becomes a beacon that attracts more of them. Quisha looked around the chamber in confusion. But surely we can regulate this. Impose colonial limits? Require licensing? The older delegates exchanged knowing glances. Finally, Zixthor spoke. We tried. The humans nodded politely, filed the appropriate paperwork, and then did exactly what they were going to do anyway. When we protested, they apologized sincerely and promised to do better. Then they established 3 more colonies. So what do we do? Quisha asked. Vrenok's form shifted to a resigned blue. What we've been doing. We adapt, we learn, we try to keep up. Because the alternative, attempting to stop humanity's expansion, would require force we're unwilling to use against a species that has been nothing but friendly to us. They're not conquerors. They're just everywhere. Zixthor looked at the data streaming from KX-771. A new school had just opened. Someone had started a pizza restaurant. A group of humans were apparently organizing something called a music festival in a biodome. They don't even realize how unusual they are, he said quietly. To them, this is just normal. Just what you do when you find a new world. That perhaps was the most unsettling thing of all. Humanity's impossible success wasn't the result of some master plan or superior technology. It was simply who they were. And the galaxy would never be the same.